You probably heard many times his voice, but you don't know yet that he is one of the most fashionable radio hosts of QBS.
One thing about the radio is we don't really see each other much because we have different hours.
But you ever come to work in pyjama?
Well, no,
Like-
because they'll kick me out. So they won't let me in from the gates. People undermine the beauty of a scarf, but I always tell them wear more scarves. When I first finished high school, I wanted to be a pilot. Street fashion can be loud, but you have to choose when to be loud. Not everybody can wake up and be Alexander McQueen, even if they go to fashion school, you know.
Welcome to Fashion Podcast. It's a platform to hear voices of talented people of Qatar. We speak about fashion, style, creativity, art, and not only. You probably heard many times his voice, but you don't know yet that he is one of the most fashionable radio hosts of QBS. Mr. Ahmed Shaheen in studio. Thank you, Ahmed, for coming today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. It's a very lovely place.
This voice. I like really your programs and I like your voice.
Thank you
really,
so much.
Right.
Thank
You're
you.
working on the right spot.
Really?
I can say. Yeah.
All right. Destiny has a plan.
Absolutely. So the first question, what are you wearing today?
What am I wearing? Honestly, I'm wearing one of my favorite suits. I'm wearing a full Amiri suit, Mike Amiri, and I'm wearing a nice boots. I like to call them Tobacco. You know what I mean? They're one of my
Beautiful
favorite
color.
boots. I don't wear them a lot because suede is sensitive. And I'm wearing a nice scarf by Casablanca. That's one of my favorite pieces.
Amazing.
Yeah. People undermine the beauty of a scarf, by the way.
Absolutely. You should bring it up and make it more
Yeah,
trendy.
exactly.
You
I
should
always
wear
tell
more.
them. I always tell them wear more scarves. Buy a nice scarf. You know, especially men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men don't wear much.
They don't wear it a lot. You know.
You should wear it more and show people. You should make some workshop. I swear.
I remember I was looking at this old man on a trip. I was traveling, and he was sitting in the airport, and he was wearing a very nice scarf. At the time, I didn't own any scarf, and I just kept looking at it. And I was like, how come I never own a scarf? And the first thing I did when I came back to Doha, I started looking for scarves. And believe it or not, I believe that a scarf will choose you. You don't choose a scarf. Because I found a lot of scarves, I just didn't click with it. And then randomly I saw this one.
Where?
It has a lot of paintings inside of it.
Is it local brand or?
No,
international?
it's a Parisian brand, but they're influenced by the 60s, by the disco culture, you know, by the luxury traveling culture, and I love their pieces. So I grabbed one of them and I kept it with me, you know.
Great. So speaking about fashion or style,
Okay.
are you a fashionable person or stylish? And do you really define the difference?
You know, when you asked me, when I was reading the questions, I kept thinking about it in my head, and I kept driving and thinking about it when I'm going to work, I'm going back home. I don't know why this question got stuck in my head, because I kept seeing it a lot on social media, and people usually, they would ask people on the street, they were like, what do you prefer? Is it style or is it fashion? But I feel like there's not really a black and white answer to this, because people idolize style more than fashion, and they tend to create a very shallow depth for fashion. That stylish is more deeper and more self-expressive. But I think fashion itself is also very deep and self-expressive. We just tend to minimize the role of fashion. So in order for you to have your own style, to have your own perspective, you're also influenced by major fashion brands or major fashion cultures, you know. So let's say you would go back to the 60s where the pants were cut in a certain way, the jackets were shorter, this and this. You tend to incorporate it into your own style. You bring in different pieces from different eras. So what I'm trying to say is nothing tends to come from nothing to your own personal style, but you're influenced more by generic culture in fashion. And then you tend to, you know, make it more private to your own sense, to your own kind of mood, you know. So I think both are important. Both are a part of your daily wear. Nothing kind of supersede the other. I don't think people should wake up and be like, I have style. But yes, where did style emerge from, you know?
Okay, then asking you question from your reply. So from which era of fashion your style inspired of?
It depends on the mood.
What was the mood today?
The mood today is I recently started getting into suits. Before I was more into like street fashion, big size t-shirts, stuff like that. But then I realized that the older you get, the more you want to create a different kind of sense of imagery to yourself, because you cannot show up anywhere in a street fashion kind of look. Some people might disagree.
So
and
what
be
message
like,
you want to deliver with your outfit?
I think it's nice to be chic, but
okay.
from more of an elegant kind of perspective, because street fashion can be loud, but you have to choose when to be loud.
Okay, so you're moving from being loud to being chic.
It depends on the mood.
On the mood.
On the mood.
Okay.
So if we're meeting somewhere else, let's say tonight, I might go home and come back, looking loud. So
I see.
Depends on
so
my
to
mood.
me, you came chic.
yes. The
Great.
mood was to look chic.
How do you start to choose your outfit? What's the first thing? Like somebody started with pants, somebody with shoes. How you start to prepare your outfit?
I visualize it in my head. I think that helps a lot. So you have to know your pieces.
After you wake up, you visualize? Or
No,
before, the day before, evening?
No, let's say I have an event. So in my mind, I would picture it. How would I want to look? I would visualize it, and I would put all the pieces in my head together from my own closet, and I'd be like, this is what I want to look like tonight. And then I would step out based on that kind of visualization. If I feel like my thoughts are pretty dull, I would kind of be influenced. I would like to be influenced by other people or kind of brands. So I would open up like one of my favorite brands on Instagram or Pinterest, and I would just see what can I do, what influences me the most. Recently I've been influenced a lot by the chic, elegant, but also careless look. Like you put a nice blazer, but your jeans are ripped off with a nice boot.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I don't know what's the era for that, but mostly
It's you create confusion in your outfit, so people are actually like to see what you are wearing by pieces. They are confused. That's why they are focused. This is for this perspective.
Technically, but I also I don't like to keep things basic. I'm like or expected. If you see a man wearing a suit, you'd expect for him to wear nice, fancy like shoes to match the suit. But you can put a nice sneaker with the suit, and the sneakers would add a touch to it. It'd make you look different. You know what I mean? But unless it's not really an insane formal occasion, of course. But like, let's say you're going to a nice pop-up or a nice kind of like fashion event. Don't wear dressy shoes with the suit. No, wear a nice sneaker with it. Why not? It gives it a more of a touch.
So you really spend this time to prepare for the occasion when you are looking in Pinterest. This is so rare among the men.
Really?
It's so cool. Yeah.
I think art is a big form of expression for me, and I tend to like to express it through fashion and photography. So when I want to be expressive about my mood, because I was never really a great painter. I was never
You
really.
wanted to be a painter?
I tried.
You tried to be a painter?
I tried, but I was always horrible. You should see the parrots I drew.
Oh, there is no horrible painters. Look, there is just an art which is not understood, okay? There is no horrible painter, so who knows what Malevich was thinking. Maybe he considered himself also horrible.
I mean,
you never know.
Yes, but I heard that sentence a lot. Like a lot of guys don't really like to pay attention to that. But I think if you want to be an influential figure in any kind of form of medium you work in or you tend to be at, it's always good to present a nice imagery. Don't be fashionable. Don't be obsessed with fashion if you don't want to be. But it's nice to look good. It's nice to present yourself in an elegant manner where people are always going to expect this level of presentation from you. And this is something that growing up, a lot of my guy friends didn't care about. And funny enough, and I'm being very honest, by the way, I wore really nice outfits growing up, and they gave me access to rooms that the rest of my friends didn't have access to.
Wow.
Because the outfit kind of gave a false facade that this kid is like, let's say, a famous athlete or a famous kind of influential figure, but I was just a student.
But it also makes you feel inside valuable, right? You carry some confidence wearing a certain clothes.
It does. I remember there was a really nice event. It was kind of like a red carpet event, and people were standing in line, and you needed like a long waiting list to enter. And my friends were like, "We're gonna catch you there." I went a little bit extra in my outfit, so I got really overdressed. And when I came by the line, the people who were holding the list, you know, they were like, "Hi, good evening," and they just opened the door. And I walked in, and there were like tens of people waiting outside. And I laughed. I was like, "This is the power of a good outfit," you know.
You was not even on the list.
I wasn't even on the list. I just went there that night in order for me, hoping that I'd get a chance to catch the show. I swear to God. They just saw me in a very nice, fashionable look. They opened the door and they're like, "Come on in." And I walked in and everyone was just saying hi to me, expecting that I was someone, you know, extravagant or something.
Fashion opening the doors.
They do. And then my friends an hour later called me. They're like, "They're not letting us in." And I'm like, you know,
go change,
go change,
home and come back. Speaking about your colleagues at the radio, you're known as a fashionable person there. So are they following your footsteps? Like when you come to the office, you see some, you know, people are catching your style. They're trying to look like you or something.
I mean, everyone is very expressive in their own way in the radio. But one thing about the radio is we don't really see each other much because we have different hours. So if I'm showing up at night, it's usually me and the producer or the technician.
So you need to impress producer.
I mean, yeah, well, you know, so the guys, they know that I'm going to always show up, you know, looking how I want to look. But it depends also on the occasion. Like if I have a nice event after the show, I would definitely be dressed up.
But you ever come to work in pyjama?
Well, no, because they'll kick me out. So they won't let me in from the gates. But growing up, I didn't really care about it until, you know, I developed my sense of style, my sense of approach. Before, I would just put a T-shirt and jeans on, and I would, you know.
So when you start to develop your sense of style, who influenced on that? Did you have any like role model or a figure?
To be honest, no one. You know, no one really influenced me. I was self-influenced. You know, I think I slowly just started looking at pictures. I think social media maybe had a big influence, but not someone in particular, but social media in general. I was like, you know what, this looks nice. I feel like I want to take nice pictures. You know what I mean? I feel like I want to, you know, put a nice outfit on to be self-expressive. And I learned a lot, you know, throughout trials and tribulations. And, you know, you always put a horrible outfit. You go back in time. You'd be like, what the hell was I wearing, you know?
When you come to the radio, do you have a certain guest that you are preparing to wear something specific for them? Depends on the theme when you work or not really?
No, not really. It depends on my mood, you know? So, but again, also it depends on the occasion. Like, let's say I'm doing like a nice pop cultural kind of conversation. I'd be more relaxed. If I'm doing like a coverage for more of a serious formal event, I would be more, you know. So my imagery, as much as people would hate it, it has to be aligned within the occasion itself. You know, it's just adulthood. You know what I mean? You have to, but you can, and I think the creativity emerges in that time where you can be creative within the rules that are given to you. You know. And this is something a lot of people tend to overlook.
You can be creative within the rules? It's interesting. How?
You know, there's a famous quote that says...
creativity doesn't have boundaries or something, no?
You know, there's always a famous saying that says, learn the rules first, and then just don't use them, you know? But once you learn the rules, you know how to be creative within the lines that are given to you. And I think this what takes a lot of smartness, takes a lot of creativity. You know, limitations tend to create creativity, actually, you know.
Speaking about creative people, tell me about the Doha Canvas, the recent project you started.
Yes.
Why you decided to do that? It's amazing.
I think I was traveling. I was in Zanzibar, and I met a lot of creatives there, and also Kenya. So I traveled to Kenya, and I met a lot of young talents in the fashion world, in the film industry, in the photography world, people who are, you know, very creative and self-expressive through their medium of art. And I was like, I want to go back to Doha and I want to meet similar people that are based in town. But I wasn't looking for people who have huge following, you know, because a lot of the times you can find someone with insane amount of art and creativity, but they don't really have following. No one really knows them.
Totally agree. I also choose people like this.
You know, so
I
I
know.
was looking for those kind of people where they are unknown to the public, and then bring them out, have a conversation with them, and see why are they not known, how long they've been practicing their form of art for, and what makes them, what influence the city had in them. But believe it or not, Doha is small, but there's a lot of young creatives that people don't know about here in town. And I think that's one of the reasons why I started Doha Campus. You know.
That's amazing. Speaking about the visual page of the IG, like Instagram as a QBS radio page, and speaking about the coverage of the radio itself, do you feel like with the modern influence, your page and Instagram actually getting more popular than the radio? Do you ever like
I mean,
count that, or
I mean, the radio has a more popular page than I am, because you know it has a more dedicated team working behind it. And these guys are very smart and very creative, and they know how, when, and what to post, and they're very familiar with the algorithms, and you know, a professional team. But for me, it's more about my mood. You know, I wake up one day, I'm having coffee, I'm like, let me post my coffee, let me post my rants after my run. You know, because recently I run and I get creative about a certain kind of thought, and I was like, you know what, let me film that and tell that to the public. So you don't know what you get with me. So my algorithms are all over the place. 1 minute is thrown at the fitness industry, 1 minute is thrown at the fashion people, 1 minute is thrown at the motivational, you know, speakers and people who are looking for life advice. So I'm all over the place. You know.
But don't you feel that the Instagram is taking over the fame of the radio itself as it appeared like more than 100 years ago? And like Instagram now is taking over, and people actually looking more into Instagram than listening to radio. Did you ever like count on anything like this, or maybe I'm mistaken? I
mean, I was having a conversation actually off air, and I was telling them that we live in times now where social media is considered to be one of the greatest inventions, I think, after electricity and maybe antibiotics. But social media gave the opportunity to people to be self-expressive, and everybody can be a journalist. And even when we were studying in journalism school at the time, social media was slowly evolving. So even our professors at the time were like, I think social media has a new form of giving people the opportunity to be their own media outlets. And it's true, and you can notice a lot in the world that social media became not just an opportunity for people to create their own business, to create their own news platform, but the ability to document things that we never had the ability to see. And I think this where traditional media tend to be limited, because traditional media has to follow a certain kind of guideline, a certain kind of like structure. It's more organized in its form, but you're a person with a small little 360 camera. You can go anywhere in the world, and you don't have to get approval for a lot of edits or for a lot. You just push it, and then you pay the outcome, whether it's successful or it's not. And I think the rawness of that ability kind of attracted the people nowadays. I think traditional media, in terms of TV, in terms of radio, in terms of newspaper, are not really going to die, but they're going to find ways to evolve and catch up with the times, where they're going to be completely digitalized. I mean, you still got very influential media outlets like the New York Times, like, what do you call, like the Times also, and so many, great political papers or fashion pages like, Vogue. People still enjoy watching Vogue on their Instagram. They still like to read their online digital magazine. So these establishments still have influence. They still have presence, but they just change their form. Instead of being, printed and presented in a classical way on TV now, and they're all over your phone. And this is where smartness kicks in. If you're a conventional media, I mean, even big channels like Al Jazeera are completely digitalized now. You can watch it live on YouTube, you can watch it on Instagram, 20-30 seconds reels with hot topics that are catchy for the young generation. And I think this is what makes conventional media survive. You have to catch up with the times.
But for you personally, power of voice or a power of image? What do you choose? Are you a visual person, or you prefer to listen to things?
To be honest, I'm more of a, how can I explain it? I'm more of a listener. It's a good question, to be honest, because I tend to enjoy both, but it depends where I'm seeking. So if I want a good podcast, if he's delivering gibberish, then I'm just going to skip it, you know. And if you're not catching me from the first 30, 40 seconds of the conversation, then I'm not really going to follow. But imagery tends to be a bit more complex, you know what I mean? Especially photography. You know, I have patience for photography. Maybe I'm biased. So I tend to enjoy the visual presentations of the classic imagery more. So it depends mostly on what I'm looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Why radio? Why you choose this profession? Did you ever dream about to be working on the radio?
You know, this is a really good question. I actually read that when you sent it to me, and I was laughing because when I first finished high school, I wanted to be a pilot.
Oh,
you know,
you wanted to be a pilot.
I wanted to be a pilot. You know, all I wanted to do was just fly the world and you know, be in a different location every time. I didn't want to be grounded, basically. As a young kid, I always dreamed about as a young kid, I always dreamed about traveling the world, and I think that was something that kept motivating me. I used to dream about it in class. I would just sit in class, and the teacher would be talking, and I would be like, "What is this guy saying?" And all I can see in my head is, you know, Brazil or Cactus Havana or, you know, Patagonia, the end of the world, like they say. So in my mind, I was like, "This is what I want to do the minute I finish high school." How can you do it if you're a young kid without any kind of like finances or any source of support? You can't go to your parents and be like, "I want to be a full-time traveler." They're gonna kick you out. So I was like, okay, let me be a pilot, and then I fulfilled that dream. But unfortunately, for certain circumstances, I wasn't able to be a pilot. So I sat home for a while, maybe like 6-7 months. Then I had a friend of mine. He was like, "You have a really good voice. You have a really good sense of presentation and charisma." I was like, "Thank you. Where's this conversation leading to?" He's like, "You know, would you be interested in radio?" I was like, "Radio? Sure, absolutely." So I started talking and training, and I applied to radio at the time. He said, "You should try radio. You'd be really..."
Was it only one radio? Like 14 years ago when you started, was it only QBS, or was it even the same name?
Well, I was doing other gigs with other radio stations. You know, I was doing like some material here and there. But then I entered QBS after, you know, doing the formal interviews and stuff like that, and they loved me. They loved my voice at a young age, and I was like, okay. And after training and stuff like that, I was, you know, thrown to the airwaves. And
did you have any tasks to complete, like blah, 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 something with your, you know, articulation point, something funny?
Of course, you know, after you have to go through a period of training where they see how you pronounce the words, when to stop, when to add a bit of flavor, because you're a storyteller on air, because you don't have the visuals, all you have is the voice. So believe it or not, you have to have the ability to be catchy with your voice. You know, you have to tell them a story, when to emphasize on a point and when to just let it slide through. And that's
is it something can be learned, or it's like coming out of you naturally, genetically?
Anything in life can be learned. I personally believe that, but there's some things that if you don't have it within you, it's going to be harder for you to shine more.
I see.
You know? Like maybe if I had the physical build of a football player and I got trained to be a good football player, I could be. But if they find someone with an insane talent, he's going to outshine me with just a little bit of sparkle and spice, because it's within him, it's embedded. So he's going to be a greater football player. He's going to have more of a legacy. I think the same goes to radio, the same goes to TV, the same goes to fashion. You know, not everybody can wake up and be Alexander McQueen, even if they go to fashion school. You know, not everyone can be, you know, Maradona just because they got trained in some of the best football clubs. So some things you just have to have them within you, you know.
Speaking about designers, what are your favorite designers? You mentioned Alexander McQueen. Is he the one?
You know, I like a lot of designers, and I love each one have their own mood. And I think my favorite would always be what's his name? The Japanese designer, Yomoji Hocho. Makimoto, I think.
The one who did collaboration with Louis Vuitton? You mean that one?
No, Yomoji. I think Yomoji is him. I can't remember the exact name. I'm very bad with Japanese names.
We will write it down. We will write it down later.
Okay, well, some of my favorite designers would be like Junji.
Okay.
I love these kind of guys. His clothes never fit me. but I love him. I love his design. I love his
Interesting.
work. I love Issey Miyake a lot.
Miyake,
You
I
know,
love too.
I love that.
I wore it in Milan. It's even he's not alive anymore, but his pieces are still so beautiful and
Amazing, amazing. I love
simplicity. You like simple style, or it also depends on the mood?
It depends on the mood. I like Dries van Noten, you know, one of
Oh.
the best is, you
Patterns,
know,
yeah.
you know, you just have to fall in love with Dries.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color. I like royal colors. So I like royal purple. I like royal
Okay.
green. These are my favorite. I like the depth of their colors, you know. My least favorite color would be red, in case you're wondering.
Really?
I don't
Red
like
color?
I don't like red.
You don't like?
I don't like red. I
Why?
turned down a car once because it was red. You know,
You
really.
seriously?
Even though it was a great offer, but I was like,
Like it's an Interstate 60. You remember that movie if you ever watched?
no.
There was a guy who given car from his dad and it was red color and he
Yeah.
hated red.
Yeah, it's a very weird color to me. I can just never tolerate it, you know. That's
Too
why I'm
bright,
thinking
Too
about.
aggressive.
That's why when I was shocked when I saw them releasing the new iPhone, and I was like, an orange color. This is very interesting. You know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So I think royal colors, royal purple would be my top favorite. I like also granite. You know,
Mhm.
I love granite. It's a very beautiful
Close
color.
to maroon, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean granite, the one closer to gray.
Ah, you mean that one? Okay.
Yeah, that one. I kind of love that color. You know, it's very interesting. It's very moonish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be the challenges? You talk a lot with the designers and
Yeah.
the creative people who are now based in Qatar. What do you think the challenges they're facing, they're sharing with you? Being an artist in Qatar, is it difficult and why? What do you think?
I think Qatar, like any kind of country, it has to go through an evolving kind of stage. I mean, it's just the basic knowledge when it comes to reading any kind of historical context of development in any kind of medium, you know, whether you're talking about economy, politics, infrastructure, sports, fashion, and art. It's also a big part of an evolving kind of form of medium. So art itself in Doha, there's a lot of investments happening in it. There's a lot of attractions. I think in the next couple of years, Qatar will be a big attraction for art. You can see it, of course, with the museums, with M7, with all these, you know, mega institutions for fashion and interior design and stuff like that. Also, now you got Art Basel coming to town, which is one of the biggest. But in terms of young designers and young creatives, I think they just want to have more engagement, more community engagement. You know, they want to have more conversations with the community. They want to be, I think they want to have a lot of feedbacks, you know. That's one of the biggest things that a lot of the young talents tend to find it hard because, of course, you know, the level of the population is also very small in Qatar. So engagement is one of the hardest challenges that a lot of these young talents face.
You mean like they need to know if what they're doing are important?
Yes, so
like to have the feedback about them work.
Yeah, like
if it's likable.
They like more community. They would like more, I think, community engagement. You know, people like you and me and people behind the cameras.
Yeah, welcome
you know?
to the podcast. I'm waiting for you here.
Exactly.
Please.
So I think one of the challenges that most people that make content creating in Doha, they tend to find it hard to get engagement. And I think this is something that is slowly changing and getting better. But engagement make a difference, and I think the more we engage with our community and content creators in town, the more infrastructure, the more better the infrastructure becomes for people like, you know, small designers, small artists. I always say the best kind of the worst kind of engagement that you can get is the worst kind of feedback you can get is no feedback.
I see.
But if you give me negative feedback, constructive negative feedback, I'm happy. You know, it's fine. Fill in my comment space with negative feedback. I don't like these colors. I don't like these designs. I don't like this outfit. But it's a form of engagement. You know what I mean? But if there is no kind of engagement at all, that's pretty hard. You know, so a lot of these young designers, a lot of these young artists, that's some of the biggest challenges they faced.
I see.
You know,
for you, 5 top interesting interviews you took while you working on the radio?
Oh, 5.
Like celebrities or people who you really made an impact on you?
Oh man,
I'm sure you interviewed a lot.
Yeah, I can't remember. You know,
During FIFA especially.
FIFA was more of live coverages and reports in the studio, but I think some of the most influential figures that I've ever met was mostly I think during Ajal film festivals, meeting a lot of young film producers.
Yes.
Meeting also a lot of fashion designers throughout Mug, one of the talk shows that I've had in the past year. A lot of the artists that I've met, it was always interesting to see them create something from nothing. And I think...
Can you name somebody?
I mean, you know...
Big impression on you?
Big impressions. Shout out to a lot of these young designers that I've had. I'm very bad with names because, you know, I've really...
Me too. I'm good with visual, but...
you know what? Why I'm saying this, because I don't want to be unjust to anyone, because honestly, each one of them that came into the studio had a big impact on me, you know. So if each one of them, after the conversation on air, we had a nice connection. So I'm very thankful for each one of them that came to the studio, that gave me the time and the effort to share their story. You know, they gave me content and also influence, and I was able to create a platform, something small for the community, for people who live in town, you know, and I'm thankful that I got a chance to do that. But honestly, we have a lot of young, talented people in town. We have a lot of creatives. We have a lot of influential stories. And I think with your podcast, you might be able to meet a lot of people in that field. And you'd be...
That's my purpose also.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thank you.
Amazing.
It was a pleasure to meet you, to hear the beautiful voice and amazing outfit.
Thank
Very
you.
fashionable man.
Thank you. I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, so my outfit of today, if you would ask me, from GBR. It's an outlet in Doha. It's, I would call, affordable luxury, because they have luxury brands from all over the world, and especially Italy. And you can get there in Tabar Mall and see it by yourself.
Amazing.
Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more interesting stories of the Fashion Podcast.